Ken, welcome to Shelter Incorporated. The real estate industry is getting very exciting. We are highly honored to have you visit our premises today, and we want to think that this is the beginning of a long cooperation in our industry, which I think is long overdue. But we can understand you've been very busy, and we said, well, let Ken settle down until he has got time, and when you've got time, and here it is, you have time to be with us. Thank you for coming to us. What can we do together to join hands and pull the real estate industry on board with us so that together we can make this happen? Because the way I see it is that the industry is fragmented. People are doing their little bit in their little corner. And I believe we need to find a common voice, a common platform where we share ideas. Because there is hardly anybody in our industry who is a competitor. We are all, colleagues, contemporaries. So there is obviously no reason why anybody should feel uncomfortable. What do you think?
Thank you, firstly, for the prompt to be here today. I think it's important, sir, as you've said, that we need to collaborate. Dialogue is very important. And just being here today, talking to you, I think is the first step. And hopefully by the end of this conversation, we'll find some mutual ground that we can shake on and say, this is where we can really join hands and collaborate. And I think the first thing is to get out of this mindset of, the problem in Zimbabwe today is really mindset, attitude. I really believe if people in Zimbabwe change their attitude, change their mindset, and stop thinking small and started thinking big, the whole country will change.
Right.
America is a good example, because in America, most people think big. Not everyone makes it big, but at least they think big. Right. And our problem in Zimbabwe is we're too narrow-minded. We're too interested in either our tribal differences or our cultural differences or our political differences, and we end up fighting and arguing about things that are not moving the country forward. But there are many things that bring us together as a people. And that spirit of oneness, my daughter often says, united we stand and divided we fall.
Of course.
And as you've said, yes, we are competitors in a way, but in a sense, we are more of colleagues.
Right.
And together, if we combined our strength, we're much more powerful than alone.
Of course.
If you look at retail, for example, for many years, we were not able to build a more Zimbabwe because our retail competitors were trying to stop us. But it's small thinking, because when a retail development happens and other retailers come around that retail development, the overall market size doesn't get smaller, it gets bigger. It's a scientific fact, they've proven it. It's a cluster theory. Where more people come together in development for retail, that cluster theory accelerates the growth of the total retail industry.
Right. And when you look at our industry, Ken, and I'm sure you've seen it, I was watching your listing the other day with a lot of interest. But I was very disappointed at the response to your listing, because clearly the market did not understand what you were saying.
Yes.
And I said to myself, what could we have done, collectively or individually, to communicate correctly to the market? Because clearly the pension funds should have been falling over each other to come and support your launch or your listing, because they need alternative investment. What is your thinking about that?
I think where we got it really wrong, and I'll come back to the corporates and the institutions, the pension funds money, on the retail side of the market, where we were aiming for, the individual level, we underestimated that the market is not ready. I don't know if it's a matter of education, that, as you say, they didn't really know what we were offering, but for $10 to buy a share, every Zimbabwean can buy a share for $10. And when you have 1 million people buying $10 of shares, that's $10 million. That can build a building. That building can be owned by those people. So I think the need for us is to start to educate people that they can put their money in small amounts into buildings and property. Because many people can't afford to buy property today, because the stand, I just asked in your company what the cheapest price of stand is, and it's $13,000. Our cheapest stand starts at $50,000. So these are large amounts of money. A lot of people don't have access to that kind of money. But everyone can find $10 or $20 or $50 to invest into. And the good thing with property, as I've said before, is that it's a saving mechanism. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against currency risk. It's a hedge against pricing distortions. Because if you look at the local economy in RTGS, in Zim dollars, there's so many distortions. You don't really know what the value of your dollar is. But with a US dollar that you put into something that's brick and mortar, it stays in US dollars.
Of course.
So I think the opportunity for us as an industry is to come together and find a smart way of doing that. Whether it's creating another REIT that we can put onto either private market or list as an alternative, a REIT structure that people can invest into small amounts of money and be secure that their value of investment is protected over time. I think that's the first lesson.
Yeah, I think the market also needs to accept that the history of money went down to cooperatives, if you remember, specifically in the building society industry. What happened there was that you had building cooperatives where you had a little cluster here and there that was coming together, pooling resources and extending credit one to another. A good example was that Ken would be in there this month, and we would all fund Ken. And then next month, you would all fund me. The month after, you would all fund John, Jane, Sarah, and it went on. And at the end of 12 months, you had funded 12 different people. And as they were all making contribution on a monthly basis, you actually created a building society industry because you had created debt without the market actually understanding that that is what you had done. But that was the behavior of the people. And I believe that Zimbabwe should stop talking about currency. I also came to the conference that you attended and addressed last October. And kudos to you as always. You are a brilliant salesman. I think you are one of those that will sell fridges to the Eskimos. And at that conference, you spoke to a people that I think were not really present, because we should not be talking about currency in this country, particularly when you've got a thriving real estate industry. That can be the beginning, because it is alternative investment, and it is alternative investment to real value. What do you say?
No, I totally agree. I think, at the end of the day, people put their money into things they trust. And we know that in Zimbabwe, people don't trust local currency.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem we've got. That's the elephant in the room. So if we remove that equation and just trade in an environment where there is only US dollars or multi-currency or currencies that people can trust, then we can really begin to grow. And I think coming back to the issue of pension funds that you mentioned, it is a responsibility for the pension funds to invest into our company, to invest into the REITs we're going to create, to invest into the properties we're going to create.
They owe it to themselves.
They do.
Because
and to
they secure their value.
And to the pensioners.
That's right. Ken, thank you very much. I cannot express to you how grateful I am for this opportunity, and I have no doubt that this is the beginning of a long journey where we are going to get together and do bigger things for this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.